Hey everybody, today on Inside Craft Show, we're going to talk about shooting log on any camera and banana spiders. Okay, so as you've probably seen, we now have Craft Show stickers. We put these little bars down here in case you just wanted to say, I love Craft Show, and this is the gear that I'm using, or my truck, or hashtag BSTF. Put Baby Seal Troll Force down here, which is our new product line we're releasing of makeup. In all seriousness, today on Inside Craft Show is part one of our multi-part series talking about nothing but log. And we're going to talk about how to shoot it, how to grade for it, how to deal with it in post, how to prepare your mind for shooting log. What are all the tricks? So let's lay down a couple of things. In this first episode, this is part one. In this first episode, we are going to simply take the camera, not saying which camera we're using. We're going to walk it outside and we're just going to talk about the basics of log outside. Then we're going to go through and just grade those real quickly. I'm going to do a grade on them, and Jeff will do his live grade of those same clips, which will then be available on Tuesday's live broadcast where we can talk about it in more detail. But this one, you're going to get Lamitri? You're going to get a Lamitri grade from me, who has no business coloring anything, just to show you that you can do it. I'm going to use no LUTs. It's going to be contrast. It's going to be the whole thing. I'll add a little saturation back in. It won't be perfect. Anyway, that said, the exterior test that we're going to show focus on just setting the camera up, getting the shots that we want as if we were just shooting them. I don't have any grip equipment. I'm working by myself. So for those of you that might be new to log, that are just playing with it to learn with it, this is an approach from that angle. I do have ND in front of the lens because you need it to control the amount of light coming in. But that said, it's very, very primitive filmmaking. You'll see that there's plenty of sequences where there's variations on it. That's good. That's what we want to talk about. It's very basic. Step 2 or phase 2 or part 2 or what are we, the Marvel Comics universe, we'll jump into another section to discuss the post process from a very broad standpoint. Very broad. Then we'll keep drilling down. So as you learn more techniques, we can offer you more detail as you're ready to get there. If you've already gotten log mastered, great. Just laugh at me truly being terrified of spiders. One of the biggest things we get asked about all the time is how to shoot an exposed log. And I just wanted to go over a quick way of how we approach that. So the first part of it is going to be all about the shooting element. So here's the thing. I hate banana spiders. I mean, I really hate them. So I got the camera packed up. I can't take it anymore. I mean, I can. I'm just going to power through it. But my skin is literally still crawling. Wow, that creeped me out. It's all about the shooting element. So that kind of stuff needs to be taken into account before you even think about anything else, how you're going to shoot what you want to shoot in log. So let me say this, and let me say it very clearly. If you are not a pro user, meaning you haven't spent a ton of time in log and you don't have a lot of time on your project to use log, if you are someone who's obsessed with all the great auto features inside of a GH5 or not great auto features, whatever your take is on it, or you're just lazy, then log is not for you. Don't waste your $100. And if you have wasted your $100, sorry, but it's not going to be for you unless you're ready to make the commitment to log. Because shooting log and grading log is a commitment. And that's the biggest takeaway that I could possibly give you. So we're in morning light. It's variable, it's changing, it's constantly going to need to be adjusted. This is very challenging light to shoot log in. Hopefully we still get exposure out, but it's going to be white, so you're going to have to keep that in the back of your mind because the sky's not fully blue yet because the sun is tracing through it, right? So we've got to set the camera correctly in order to do it. And what camera am I using? I'm not going to tell you.
It could be a GH5, it could be a Red, it could be an Alexa. I'm not going to tell you. You just get to look at the footage and deal with the footage. The camera doesn't matter. Shooting log is universally the same. What does matter is your highlights and lows, where you're going to put them, but they're generally all within the same space. And so we're going to just follow some rules about protecting various elements while you're shooting. So right now, I'm attempting to protect the highlights and the dark areas at the same time, so I have lifted my image up while I'm shooting it. Does it look good? No, it looks flat, but that's the point of log. So I'm gonna step out of the shot, and when I do, it'll turn back over and magically go log, and we'll see what it looks like. And the problem with doing a camera test in the South during this time of year is the banana spiders are everywhere. And they don't conveniently put their little hives of demonic destruction and Satanism evilness. They don't put them in inconspicuous places. They put them right in the center of the trails. God, I hate them.
Okay, so this next shot, I'm going to go ahead and jump in and preface this. I want you to understand, I set the camera up, I got it where I wanted it, I exposed for the card where I wanted it based on the waveform monitor, and you're going to see that my skin tone is garbage. This is a very, very important thing to consider. If you don't have the grip gack to put up a silk or a net to knock that light down, really, you've got to think about your shots with log a little bit more contrived. You have to be very focused on what you're going to use these for. So in this case, what's going to end up happening is the shot, if it were a pro grade shot, would have to get kicked off to a bigger colorist to get dealt with properly, or I'd have to spend a ton more time with lots of different masks in order to get the shot kind of exposed and done correctly. And this is very important to consider, because when you're shooting log, you have to consider where your light source is coming from. You should be doing that all the time for every single camera angle, but it gets multiplied by 10 whenever you're shooting with log, because the angle of the light, the angle of the camera is going to affect the overall image in your storytelling process, and it's just that simple.
So direct sunlight is one of the most brutal things on earth. I can't stand it. I like indirect lighting, but it's important to talk about direct sunlight when you're shooting log, because you're gonna have to deal with lots of different highlight variables. You're gonna have skin tone changes. I'm shooting this by myself, so I don't even totally know what has happened in terms of the shot. So when I get back and look, I'll play it back and review it and, you know, check it off the Shogun. Because I use a waveform monitor, and I think that's really important. The waveform monitor is going to help you shoot better, simply because you can see where you need to expose. And you really want to protect highlights, and you don't want to crush the black levels. People who tell you to crush the black levels are totally wrong. You're ruining the image and you're adding so much unnecessary noise. So you really kind of want to keep things narrow. You want to keep them more squared away into a narrow space. So if I were forced to shoot in this scenario, as a DP, and I was shooting log, I would fly a silk up here to knock this subject down and let the sun play in the background, but I don't want my subject competing with any of those elements. Okay, so this is particularly a very challenging shot. You can see behind me the highlights are clipped. There's not much I can do to save that if I want to save this image. So if I want to crush this image and protect the highlights in the back, then this is going to be too dark and I'm going to lift it up. So this is one of those examples where noise is going to come in, because you're going to have to lift this channel up if you want to protect your highlights and keep this. But what is the central focus of my shot? Is it the highlights or is it the chart? In this case, it's the chart, so it's about being mindful of exactly what you need. So part of the reason why you get so much noise in your log shots is because you're trying to expose too many things. Sometimes you have to choose. if we had the ability, money, time, and energy, we wouldn't have to shoot into this backlight element without a silk, or we could fly a net behind it, or whatever the case may be. But in this particular instance, I'm going to lose those sky highlights because frankly, I'm shooting directly into the sun. So that's the real trick of it. That's the challenge. Hopefully this works out well for you, and hopefully we've explained some of these elements for you. And now we get to take it all into post and stare at those stupid mother-f***ing spiders one more time.
So that's it for part 1. So on Monday, we're going to do another video that has nothing to do with log, kind of. It's not part of this series. This series will drop on Thursdays. So there's the email. On Monday, what we're going to have is HLG versus log. So many people are kind of confused by this. It's a good question to have for sure. What happens if you shoot HLG and log? Which one exposes better? Because some people don't want to spend the money on log. And it's a great point, especially in hindsight of this current episode. Maybe log isn't worth $100 to you and you're going to get a free HLG thing. Maybe it'll give you everything you need. That said, if you're comparing those and you're not delivering in HDR, it's going to be kind of pointless. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, do this. Don't be a baby seal. Join the Baby Seal Troll Force. You can do that by using hashtag BSTF. Join us, but don't be one. I know that sounds confusing, but if you watched last episode when we got hammered on the air, you'll understand. You know why I enjoy polar water? Because LaCroix's got too much essence. Tastes like a polar bear's. Today on Inside Craft Show, banana spiders. That sounds like a euphemism for